There are two things that keep me up at night. First, the tarantula who's very kindly decided to make a home in my bedroom. The second is the poor, misinformed and dangerous health information that fat acceptance leaders and influencers such as Tess and Sonalee are giving to a mass audience. The first is slightly humorous, if not unnerving. The second is simply terrifying.
Break the cycle, Morty. Rise above. Focus on science.
I'm strongly against the abuse of people who are obese. I'm strongly against that. That's despicable in my mind. This information is purely health-based. If you're someone who's currently in an obese state and you are working towards a healthier body composition, I sincerely wish you the best. And this is perhaps one of the valid applications of the term belly fat. I've made videos about belly fat wizards where they're talking about how you can spot reduce belly fat to get six packs, for example. The spot fat reduction from these belly fat wizards just ain't a thing. But when I talk about belly fat in this context of obesity, that absolutely is important because we have causation between the buildup of abdominal fat, visceral fat, and disease. We can look at measurement tools such as waist to hip ratio in meta-analysis and research, which has causation to disease, not some sort of beauty standard for disease. And obesity and disease is so well researched. I have previous videos where I have meta-analysis in the video. You can screenshot and read those powerful screenshots. And so to be clear, this is a health-based video where I am countering the health information of the people shown in the thumbnail in relation to large amounts of body fat. And in particular, the point of this video is that these fat acceptance leaders should fear excess amounts of body fat around the abdominal region specifically. We can think of that as visceral fat being the deep layer of fat surrounding your organs, as this has severe and dangerous health implications in relation to a host of disease. And this is biology, this is science, this is your health. Do not compromise your health due to the misinformed opinions and feelings of certain popular social media influencers. Now, I was going to make a joke about the science denial from these people, but I probably wouldn't get a reaction. That, my friends, is a 10 out of 10. And so the tagline that these people literally use is health at every size, which is not correct.
Denied.
And this relates to obese states and also underweight states. This can also relate to special populations such as bodybuilders, around 4% on stage with large amounts of muscle mass. However, I have heard many bodybuilders discuss the fact that they know that they are literally sacrificing aspects of their health for the sport that they love. And I recently did a video by supposedly a fitness channel where they used a bodybuilder to perform a 20,000 calorie challenge. And my point again was the severe health implications of that and projecting these nonsensical challenges to mass audiences. And so I get it. I am a boring old man. The flip side of that is I genuinely care about people's health. And when we think about obesity, we can think about the term comorbidity. And comorbidity essentially refers to many things going wrong in the body at the same time, many dysfunctions at the same time, and that absolutely applies to a state of obesity. And let me talk specifically now about ectopic fat deposition. Ectopic fat essentially means the buildup of fat in organs where it should not normally be in those amounts. For example, the liver. Not only do we have dangerous amounts of excess fat around the organs, but we have dangerous amounts of fat in the organs. And for example, we have the liver, the heart, the pancreas, and this again can be attributed to insulin resistance. This can be attributed to type 2 diabetes, as well as many other diseases, cardiovascular disease. In essence, your organs are in a compromised state. Your cells are in an abnormal state with this buildup of fat in your organs. There's nothing I can think that Tess and Sonalee could say to discredit that, the dangers of that. And as dangerous as the message that these two people are putting out there to millions of people, there is a serious and real danger to your organs of having large amounts of body fat around the abdominal area. And so when it comes to ectopic fat deposition and metabolic dysfunction, I understand these may be new terms to you. So I want to express it like this. Obesity is like kryptonite to your organs. Now, I know that sounds kind of comic and lighthearted, and I do mean it in a way that it's easy for you to visualize and understand, but I don't want to downplay the situation. Obesity literally is a kryptonite to your organs. The kryptonite being the excess buildup of fat and this abnormal state within your organs, these abnormal aberrant behaviors in your cells. And the problem when people like Tess or Sonalee are confronted with scientific fact is they consistently move the goalposts as to what they are supposedly saying. Tess, who's been a part of the health at every size movement, is very clear the fact that they're projecting the idea that obesity is healthy. And when you think about the health at every size, the idea that somehow your body composition and being in an obese state is separate to disease. And this is simply inaccurate. Your body composition is not some isolated factor to the risk of disease. That is literally how your body is operating. When you are in an obese state, your body operates in a different way. Adipose metabolism, we have factors such as insulin resistance leading to type 2 diabetes. Sonalee Rashatwar, on the thumbnail of this video, projects the information that type 2 diabetes is due to bad luck and genetics. Now, whilst it is fair to say that people who are not obese can have type 2 diabetes, a disproportionate amount of people in America who are obese have type 2 diabetes. There is causation between this adiposity meaning a state of obesity. And when I use adiposity, again, it hammers home the fact that this is science, this is biology, this is something that should not be twisted, as that can have severe consequence. Adiposity and metabolic dysfunction, the way that your organs are operating with excess amounts of body fat, which is the point of this video, ectopic fat deposition, absolutely relate to issues such as insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. Sonalee's information is outright dangerous, and the liability is unbelievable in my mind. I do not see how people can put out this information. There's not some sort of liability placed on them if people follow their information and then very sadly develop disease. And what genuinely terrifies me, and why I have fear in relation to some of the information put out, is the future information given to our children. For example, are teachers going to be labeled as spreading hatred when they give information relating to biology and excess body fat, such as Tess Holliday labeling people like me as having internalized hatred when I discussed her science denial? I did recently watch the Lego Movie 2. I do hate myself for that one. And I introduced some humor to try and divert my brain from the genuine fear and susceptible nature of, for example, our children in the future to information from these social media celebrities rather than, for example, their teachers or doctors. And spoiler alert, for someone who stands against judgment, she's quite judgmental in how she replies to people. And we're at a point where it's taking people like David Brent to actually give reason to arguments that doctors are somehow spreading hatred or fat phobic when they're trying to save people's lives.
If I go out there and I talk the dangers of obesity, I do it in a funny way. Actually, having said, I was going to say, when a doctor says it, people know that they don't. But now there is a movement now for doctors to stop fat shaming.
Yeah.
Doctors fat shaming.
Yeah.
Me. That is like saying it's cancer shaming. Doctor told me I had cancer. He should be struck off.
Right.
But you have. Well, there's no reason to say it. You've got we're going to save your life. No, it's up to me if I've got cancer. Just think of that. It's crazy. It's absolute madness what people are offended by and think they have the right not to hear.
This is very serious, this is very real, and this is very dangerous. And that's the most simple and blunt way that I can project this. Now, I've made only 4 videos in relation to this topic out of 170, but more and more, I feel as though this is absolutely essential information, because make no mistake about it, the science is losing. Science in relation to obesity and disease is losing. And so I think it's absolutely vital that information such as I'm giving in this video is put out there and spread to as many people as possible. And many of you may say, well, this is common sense, this is known information. This is absolutely being drowned out by the information that these social media influencers who have a reach of millions of people are putting out there. My intentions are to give information to help people live a longer, better quality of life. What are their intentions? But the problem with talking about visceral fat, the deep layer of fat that you cannot pinch, is it can only be discussed as a health topic. Because you cannot essentially see it or pinch it or touch it, it would be very hard to attribute that to some beauty standard. When we talk about visceral fat, it completely is a health discussion. And visceral fat is linked to many metabolic disturbances. We have cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, this insulin-resistant state. Perhaps that's why it's very conveniently left out of the rhetoric and misinformation that Sonalee and Tess put out there. Believe it or not, and yes, there are many fitness professionals, we see that in YouTube fitness, who mislead people to make dollar bills from supplements. There are many fitness professionals who dedicate their life to helping people, training, information, nutrition, because they genuinely care about people's health. And so to be very clear to the fat acceptance leaders or people who may believe their information, what they are spreading is highly inaccurate, misinformed, and dangerous. And I fear for our future and the future information put out in schools, for example. Are our teachers going to be labeled as spreading hatred, as our doctors are being labeled now for trying to give information that can ultimately save people's lives? And as I fear that future, and this video is my small part of trying to help correct that information, you should absolutely fear the excess buildup of triglyceride body fat around your abdominal area, as this is causal to many diseases, which could severely impact the quality of your life, your health, and in the worst case scenario, have morbid consequences. And so I'm James Linker. This is Shredded Sports Science. This was a vitally important video to me. I will see you soon.